What does it mean to you when an entity who you've just met, who you hardly understand, who is almost analyzing and studying you, is saying, worship me? That's a task, that's an instruction or a command. Worship me. What does that mean to you?
Something strange is happening in modern-day Egypt that appears to have roots dating back to the 13th century BC, and it is terrifying authorities. Over the past decade, the governments of North Africa and the Middle East have been battling the illegal distribution of an anomalous substance nicknamed the Blue Elephant, a plant-based anomaly that reportedly allows users to generate an extra-dimensional gateway from within the brain itself. Similar to the Blue Lotus, a flower Pharaoh Akhenaten allegedly smoked to become aware of parallel realities, Egyptian authorities in the 21st century have classified its modern-day variant as a type of dimethyltryptamine, or DMT for short, a substance that they say has a 75% mortality rate. A Cairo-based scientific investigation conducted in 2019 details several case studies where users reported that upon swallowing the plant, they were instantly transported to a realm that felt more real than their own, had physics completely different from our own, and was home to a number of intelligent humanoid entities. What are these creatures? Friend or foe? Heavenly angels or malicious spirits? And did the ancient Egyptians know something about the nature of reality that deserves to be kept hidden from modern minds? My name is Omar, and in this episode we will begin examining the research into this deadly anomaly and the truth of the creatures allegedly encountered because of it. In January 2019, security services launched an investigation into the mysterious passing of a 6-year-old Egyptian girl named Camellia. Unfortunately, what at first appeared to be just another tragic story of a child accidentally swallowing her parents' medicine turned out to be part of a wider problem concerning a pill nicknamed the Blue Elephant. Her mother, reportedly a chemist, was arrested and charged while the health authorities began a nationwide crackdown on the distribution of this substance, a substance that has grown in popularity due to the reports of its ability to allow users to access parallel dimensions. But this is not a new practice in this country. During the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, it is believed that the recreational habits of the ancient Egyptians included the use of the blue lotus flower. This plant is found in lakes across East Africa, and it is believed by some to enable its users to become aware of parallel timelines and higher spatial dimensions via its psychotropic ingredients. Today, there are many hieroglyphs that show the importance of this flower in Egyptian culture, including one of Akhenaten holding up the lotus. Although scientists say that its psychotropic effects vary considerably from similar plants, in that it induces lucid dreaming instead of creating vivid hallucinations, the blue lotus is still viewed as a type of DMT. Becoming famous in 2014 after the box office success of the Egyptian psychological horror film The Blue Elephant and its 2019 sequel, many young adults wanted to know if it was real and does it pose a genuine threat, be it psychological or supernatural. Unlike the claims made famous by Western celebrities such as Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson concerning DMT, Egyptian health officials state that at high doses, its Blue Elephant variant can cause addiction, violent seizures, comas, and even heart attacks. What about its supernatural threats? and its alleged ability to allow humans to access higher dimensional spaces.
So DMT is an extremely powerful hallucinogenic drug found naturally within the human body, as well as in mammals and plants and nature generally. It's notorious for producing entity experiences for those who take the drug. What does this mean? Simply, it means people who take the drug often, if they take high doses, report seeing beings that exist in another world or exist in this world, but they are not usually able to perceive them. But when they take the drug, they are now able to hear them and interact with them and see them. They report entering a tunnel or something called hyperspace. So they'll enter this hyperspace tunnel and they'll see impossible 4D geometry. Some say this is sacred geometry. The space is usually or almost always inhabited by a or many entities. So there's usually one or there's plural entities, and these entities interact with the subjects in many various ways. And each interaction, again, it varies from person to person, and the nature of the entity is also different. These experiences were real, i.e. people felt like they were real. People felt like these experiences were more real than real. They existed in some real but different dimension of reality, and continue to exist after the encounter. They received messages or predictions about the future, and those who identified as being atheists, at least over half, I didn't identify as atheist anymore, i.e. they believed that there was some sort of high power out there, and it was the most meaningful experience that most people had experienced.
Some theorize that this location could simply be our current 3D reality in its truest form. Others say it could be a higher dimensional plane that exists between our three-dimensional world and the fourth dimension, which string theory calls time. Within Islam, some have theorized that this place could be a vast pocket dimension called Barzakh, a space between spaces, where the souls of both deceased humans and Djinn wait for the day of judgment. What this spiritual realm looks like is open to debate. It could be anything from an exact copy of our current world and society to something completely alien and beyond human comprehension, similar in appearance to what has been testified by DMT users across the world. Either way, it can still be considered as a higher dimensional reality. So before we delve into the 2019 Egyptian case studies concerning individuals who believe that they have traveled there, let's first define exactly what we mean by the term higher dimensional reality, using M, theory and quantum mechanics.
Our current understanding of reality recognizes that the human race lives in a three-dimensional world that is defined as forward and backwards, up and down, on an XY scale. The word dimension literally refers to a scale of measurement. With our three-dimensional world, or 3D, governed by a fourth dimension called time, quantum mechanics posits that there could be up to 11 or more different types of dimensions. So our question is, what if each dimension could be home to a specific class of life, such as Djinn? With that question in mind, what would a lower two-dimensional world and its theoretical life forms look like to us using M-theory? Simple. Just look at a photograph. Beings with 3D capacity, like us humans, would be able to view a flat 2D world such as a photograph or a TV screen with ease. But beings from a 2D world would be unable to see what our 3D world really looks like, essentially making us partially invisible to them. This law of visibility applies to every dimension. No matter what dimension a being is in, they can only see the dimensions below, and only partially the next dimension above. Therefore, since humans are only three-dimensional beings, we cannot physically see the fourth dimension, which is time. However, a 4D being would be able to view our 3D world and our timeline in its entirety from beginning to end, from the creation of the universe until the end of time. Moving up a step, a higher fifth dimensional being will not only be able to see our complete timeline like a fourth dimensional being, but they can also see all possible timelines across a multiverse of timelines. A sixth dimensional being would be able to see beyond that, and a seventh beyond that, and so on and so forth. So what dimension could the Jinn be in? Now, since Jinn are somewhat limited by the progress of time, much like us humans, then we can guess that they exist somewhere between the third and the fourth dimension. The Holy Quran portrays jinns as occupants of a parallel world of spirits. So using M theory, we can say that they are in essence higher dimensional creatures, compared to us, that they have the ability to observe our 3D world while remaining invisible to us. The Holy Quran states, "Lo, he, the devilish Iblis, sees you, he and his tribe, from whence you see him not."
Throughout 2019, the Egyptian media began reporting on the experiences user claimed to have had with the Blue Elephant pill. In one study, after about 10 seconds of ingesting it, a man described being transported to another world where his current reality dissolved into what he described as intertwined threads. Here he encountered several intelligent, anomalous entities, such as brightly colored peacocks with 4 eyes and 4 arms, and beings who took the form of long-gone historical figures. A second case study detailed the account of a girl who said that the moment she ingested the anomaly, her environment literally began to peel away like paper from a wall, revealing another world underneath. Here she encountered one of the Djinn kings, an extremely powerful class of Djinn that rules over countless communities of Djinn. During this event, the subject experienced mild time dilation, where she claimed that she remained in conversation with this entity for nearly an hour, despite only being under the influence for several minutes. Critics and cynics of the use of DMT or the supernatural experiences associated with it can be categorized into 3 camps. The first believe that the anomalous effects users report are entirely psychological. They are only hallucinations generated by the mind, devoid of any real paranormal component. The second camp, while believing that the supernatural component is real, the entities users claim to encounter are for the most part malevolent Djinn. These Djinn may pretend to be friendly, but their ultimate goal is to trick humans into worshipping them. The third camp, while also believing in the supernatural, does not believe that it can provide access to a dimension where the Djinn exist. It only allows us to view our current 3D reality in its full natural form. For example, Mufti Abu Layth, a controversial liberal Islamic scholar and expert on Middle Eastern history, believes that the substance should be classified as halal, meaning permissible under Islamic law, since it is both a naturally occurring substance that has no addictive qualities, nor does it compromise brain function like alcohol, for example. In fact, because it seemingly sharpens and expands the mind, allowing the user to see way beyond their normal visual range, it can help facilitate a better understanding of God and the nature of his reality. Although he does stop short of saying that this could also be a means to communicate with the Djinn, implying that this may not even be possible, he does mention that Islamic intellectuals from the medieval period and earlier, such as the Persian poet Rumi, used these plants to see the true nature of our reality. However, this is a fringe position, with the vast majority of Islamic scholars and researchers speaking against any use of the drug, viewing it as either a potential avenue for Djinn possession or because of the negative psychological effects it can have on the body.
What does it mean to you when an entity who you've just met, who you hardly understand, who is almost analyzing and studying you, is saying, worship me? That's a task, that's an instruction or a command. Worship me. What does that mean to you?
According to the researcher Khalil Siren, who has studied for over a decade the supernatural phenomena associated with DMT, the users of these types of substances expose themselves to extra-dimensional manipulation. His associate, Ahmed Middlepath, states that all of the different avenues that allow humans to access higher dimensions or to see our current dimension in its unfiltered form, such as yoga, ayahuasca, astral projection, and even UFO encounters, are all part of the same phenomena originating from magic and Djinn interaction. Doctors who have recorded various entity encounters reported that users quite often meet higher dimensional beings who present themselves in forms that were Egyptian pharaonic or even Sumerian in appearance, with one journalist saying that he met a being that presented itself in the form of the ancient Persian deity Marduk. The point some of these critics make from a religious perspective is that the Djinn might change its appearance depending on who encounters it. Different cultures may develop different lores and names to describe these entities, but ultimately they are all variations of the same thing, the Djinn. Historians, sociologists, and psychologists have a similar hypothesis, but from a scientific perspective, they state that these beings are essentially Jungian archetypes, stock monsters created by the human mind that you will find across all societies, regardless of history, race, and background. So what scares or amazes us in one culture will do so in all cultures. That said, there have been encounters in this higher dimensional realm that goes beyond scientific understanding, where users have testified to having been given knowledge of either future events by these entities or current events that they should not have known of themselves. So, if it is not the Djinn as the source of this information, then the human mind may be way more complex than we can begin to imagine. One theory suggests that there is a deliberate plan to suppress our brain's ability to perform tasks that can be perceived as quote-unquote superhuman, with the global population being fluoridated since birth. Here, fluoride behaves as a type of suppressant, preventing the unlocking of the pineal gland. Mystics from many different cultures worldwide believe that by opening up our pineal glands, we can access the secrets of the universe. It is believed that some ancient Egyptian societies understood this. In their depiction of the Eye of Horus, a symbol meant to represent health and wellness from beyond our world, its design shows an uncanny resemblance to the part of the brain that encompasses the pineal gland, indicating that they knew something about our biology that our scientists are only just learning about now. But are we as a global society ready to access such a superpower? Putting aside the psychological dangers the Egyptian media has reported on, users of DMT have repeatedly spoken of encountering hundreds and even thousands of strange entities in just one trip. We are talking about at least one entire civilization of creatures that might exist just beyond our visual range, and there could be many more, and not all of them may be friendly. The pineal gland may unlock doors to realities beyond our comprehension. But until the risks associated with peeking behind that veil are fully understood by both scientists and parapsychologists alike, is the global population ready to take that risk unsupervised? What do you think? Comment below, like, and subscribe, and let's discuss.